Hey Mancavens, this is Bob from the Bob Zendscale Mancave, and this is part 6 of how to install a turntable and roundhouse, and we're going to be talking about electrical today. So there is a lot of stuff that you need to pay attention to with your electrical, and I'll go over that as I'm showing you what I'm doing. So let's get down to it right now, shall we?
Okay. This terminal block is where I run the bus line into, and I took red side and put them all on jumpers and tied them all together into one terminal block so they're all commonly connected, and all the white side are going to be separated into individual terminals and then go over to the switches later on. And I have 13 through 18 over there and room for more connections. And I'm going to put another block up right here so I can run the white bus line into that and other jumpering connections for the switches. Now I took all of these and wired them down through the wood. I have long strands on there just for troubleshooting and so I can make sure I reach. And I have 1 through 12 for the white wires are going to go right over on this side. And you can also see that I have these adapter boxes for my Woodland Scenics just plug system for lighting. And you got a switch that goes and turns on the adapter to all the other buses. And then we've got another one over here for the machine shop light, and that's already wired up in there. And you can see there's another terminal that comes down so that it can connect up to other lights inside the roundhouse, and other lighting like street lights and so forth can be plugged in there. Now, this is an MRA112, actually BB, and it is a rotary switch, 12 position. You get it from Mauser Electronics or www.mauser.com. And this is a double throw, double pole switch with a center off type toggle. This is going to be used for my program track where I can choose to run the engines or program them on the same track. Now here I'm installing one of the terminal blocks in place. This will be where the bus line comes in for my power to switch. You take a bus line, insert it in there, tighten it down, and it's as easy as pie. That is if you buy a store-bought pie. And then you take each one of the track wires. This happens to be track number 1 or bay number 1, and I got them all put in there at this point, and that's pretty much how it looks. Everything's all wired up and almost ready to go to start putting switches together. Here I'm soldering on lead wires on each one of the terminals. There are 12 terminals on the outside and 1 in the center. And the center one is where your power comes into, and from there it gets switched off to all the other terminals, depending on how you rotate your switch. I put a little flux on the wire, put some solder on the iron, and put it on there. Make sure you don't put too much solder on there so it touches the other terminals, or pretty much short out your switch. Test it to make sure it's tight. Keep going. And it should look something like this.
Okay, here's my control panel for the turntable and all the bays to get power to each individual bay that I want to power up and run a train in and out of. I hooked up my rotary switches that I just got done soldering feeders to. I took the plexiglass and I took the piece of paper that was on the back off and decided to paint the back with solid white Rust-Oleum can of paint, and just used a regular foam brush on that. Took a few layers to make sure that you couldn't see through the plexiglass, and it was solid white. And then I mounted the rotary switches through the holes and through my labels. Now, as you can see, these labels are not centered, and I'm going to take these off, print out some new ones, and get them a lot more centered. But in order to put these on, you put them in, turn your dial all the way to the number 1 position, and this little mark right there points to where you're going to be switching it to. And then line it up, screw it down, bolt it down, tighten it up, whatever you gotta do. And these are just kind of loose on there. You press them all the way down on there and you'll be good. I also installed an on-off switch for DCC, or the program track. And if it's in DCC or program mode, I mean, there'll be another track in here that I'm going to set aside for programming only. Put it right in here, program track, and I'll be ready to go. Also have the control panel for the turntable mounted in there, and it's kind of loose at the moment, but I'm still putting everything together. My next step will be to put these wires to the bus bars, terminal blocks, whatever you want to call them, on the underside of this table, and to the corresponding track power for each bay. And the other half of the track power will be automatically connected to that side, so all I gotta do is switch which power goes to the other rail, and you're good to go. Okay, I have put the wires from the switches through the board and wired them to my bus bars. This so happens to be 13 by 18 and 1 through 12 on the other side. I have some extras here for other tracks if I tend to put some of those in. I'm not sure if I'll do those, but they're extra just in case. And so I have 19 tracks wired up. I hooked up one end of a multimeter to the input line, which is going to go in to this input line on the switch, and then from number 12 on this one, I'll wire it up to the input line onto that switch. So this one has to be an off basically before the other ones will get power. So it runs from one switch to the next. Right in there I have my switch power coming in from the left, and then it goes in to the actual switch power, and then I've got a couple wires going in there to jumper between the switches. In case I wanted to change it, I can always do that. And then of course the bottom one is track 19. Okay, to test it, you put your meter on ohms, anywhere in the ohms area, probably 20k ohm, can be good. And you noticed if you have a 1 on here, you have an open, which means the connections are not touching each other. So I have one connection going to the input line coming through, and the red one goes up and is connected to the track on the white wire side. And then I'm just going to switch my track to track number 18, and my meter is now 0. If I switch off of that, it goes back to 1, and that's what it should look like if you have good connection. You should go and test all the rails to make sure you have a connection through your switch. Make sure it ohms out, and you'll be ready to start applying power and seeing how everything works. Okay, the moment of truth for track number 13. Put a sound engine on there. Currently number 14. Okay, that works. Now I got all my tracks wired up. I had to resolder a feeder wire on the bottom of track number 13 on the red side, which is the common side. So now all the tracks are wired up and almost ready to go. Probably need to secure some down a little bit better and put everything together. And the next phase will be programming the turntable, where the tracks line up, and then also cleaning up all this wiring that's under here and making these wires all shorter and more tighter and a lot cleaner look. But for right now, it's here to just make sure everything's electrically functional. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to zero this turntable and program some track positions. The first thing you need to do is, once you turn your power off and you insert your table in there, put it so that it's just to the right of where you know your optical sensor is. And then on your control panel, after the power is turned on, press and hold the 0 button, which is right here, until the power light flashes. Okay, now it is zeroed. So when I am aligning my tracks, you push the clockwise button and the counterclockwise button to get it lined up, and then we push the set button, which will turn on this position indicator, and that'll mark where the track is. And let's show you that. Okay, so let's turn the table clockwise. All you have to do is hold down the clockwise button, and it'll keep on turning until you hit the counterclockwise button to stop it. Now this already has a position marked in it, and that's where it would normally line up. So I'm going to press the set button until the program light goes out. And that clears that position. So I'm going to turn it clockwise a little bit. So roughly about in there is what they say, about 1/8 of an inch off center. So you want to come in from the clockwise side, and you want to turn it this way so that it lines up with the track. Okay, that lines up pretty well right there. So take a test car run across, and which means it's lined up just perfectly. I press the set key until the position light comes on. As you can see, the position light is on, and when I press to go to another section, it goes off till it gets to a new position and turns on. That's how you know it's marked. I'm now in position number 2. So it's fairly simple to do, and that's all there is to it. Just got to remember you have to zero your table every time you take the table out, otherwise things aren't going to line up. Okay, after you have wired up all your tracks on your roundhouse and your turntable and everything is set up, I got my switches all put in place, and I'm going to test out all my bays to make sure I can run my engine in and out of them and see how this works. So I picked track number 2, which is right here, and it goes clockwise from 1 to 18. Actually 19 is over here, but that's not wired up yet. So let's go take a look and see what happens. I'm going to turn the sound on, and let's go with it. Okay. And forward. Switch to track 1. Turn it. It's going to go through a dead zone there. Now I'm back on track 1. Put it in reverse. And see what happens. Shorts out. Okay, the reason it's shorted out is because there's this dead zone right in here, and it basically splits your turntable in half. So on this half, when it goes over to these bays here, it's all on the same polarity, and it matches the polarity that's on this table. Well, when it goes past this dead zone, it switches polarity, which means I have to wire anything on this side of it backwards. So currently I have my white wires all hooked up to the right hand rail, and the red one is on the left hand rail. So I'm going to have to go get under the table and swap out the wires going to here, and I'll put the red one and attach it to where the white is, and the white one where the red one goes, and it should fix that. Okay, now that I rewired track 1, let's see what it looks like when I test it out. So that works out just fine. Now I know how to wire up this turntable and the tracks leading up to it, and how I'm going to do all the other tracks if I put anything over here. And I have to put a lead-in track over here to bring trains into the turntable. If I ever have to rewire it, flip it around because it doesn't match here, basically I just get inside the control panel over here and flop the DCC wires around, and everything flip-flops and everything's cool, hopefully. Well, Mancavians, this has been the electrical portion of how to install the turntable and roundhouse in N-scale, and it is working, which is great. And I showed you a lot of things. Showed you how to put in some switches to wire up individual bays so you don't have to have power to your whole roundhouse at the whole same time. Showed you how to program the turntable and get it operational and wire it all up. There's a lot of cleanup I still have to do, like making my wires shorter and making the hole under the table look a little bit more easier to look at and troubleshoot. So right now there's a lot of long wires there and nothing's really bundled up and pressed out of the way in case I needed to work on something. I could see it and I could get to it easier without bumping into everything. So if you like what you saw and you'd like to get notified first before anybody else, there's a little bell button right down here, that's a subscribe button. If you click on that, you'll get notified whenever I put out a new video. It's a new feature by YouTube. Many people don't really realize that it's there, but I'm telling you, this is great. I've belled some other channels, and every time they put a video out, I get a notification on my phone, or it's on my YouTube notifications, or I even get an email from them. So do it, try it out. If you don't like it, you can unbell it if you don't like it. So give it a try. And as always, Mancavians, happy model railroading, and stay off the tracks. Bye. So if you like what you saw here today, go ahead and click subscribe down here below, or follow my Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and my Instagram, links down here below in the comments. Also, click on one of my other links for videos as well. As always, Mancavians, happy model railroading, stay off the tracks. Bye.